Hi, this is the new Caribou, the Honorable Sir David, Emperor of Salt Lake City, Sultan of Utah, Spiritual Advisor to Questioning Mormons, the Bard Extraordinaire, Supreme Being, Alpha and Omega. And again, those of you that are just picking up on my videos now, I didn't make that crap up. My followers did, I think as a joke, because the Mormons call me Mr. Asshat, so choose your own title. It doesn't bother me. Okay, I wanted to share... I think I put this on another video somewhere, but God, there's 700 of them. So I'm as lost as you are. I'm not going to go back and check it, but I have to give one video tribute to my son, Dan. Now, Dan and I get along pretty good. I like Dan. He's cool. I like him, and his daughter there, Cheyenne, my granddaughter, and his two little boys are beautiful grandchildren. And Paula, his wife, she's from Argentina. And what a doll. She's just as funny as can be and beautiful, and that's a wonderful family. I want to tell a story about Dan. Now, the Bard, all I do is tell stories, and I told you they don't have to be true. I can just make shit up because I got no boss. And if you don't watch me, I don't care. I watch myself sometimes. I go, it's boring. Let me find something funny, and I'll put it on. Anyway, we lived in Massachusetts, in Lenox, Massachusetts, there in the Berkshire Mountains. Beautiful, beautiful area to live in. I'd live in the east if I could, but it's so expensive. $300-400 a month for fuel oil, just to heat a 2- or 3-story building house. So, one day, and we were living in Lenox, Mass, right by Tanglewood. Some of you know, have mentioned to me, you know where Tanglewood is. And our house was like right next to Tanglewood. And we were Mormons in those days, sad to say. And like idiots, we'd crawl through 800 feet of snow to get to the car, then try to brush the car off. And so much snow would go on the ground from brushing the car off, it wouldn't go anywhere till spring. It just sat there. Anyway, we crowded everybody in the car for church, because we wanted to show Jesus that we were really faithful. And damn, we wanted the celestial kingdom, and we're willing to put 72 kids in the back seat of a car that has no heat in it. It's 10 or 15 below, and the windshield wipers are frozen. I don't mean just a little bit, but they're totally frozen to the windshield. Well, we decided to leave Dan, my Dan now, at home. And I don't remember which baby he was watching. He'll probably remember. But we didn't take the baby to church because I think it was she was under age 8. And in those days, those kids went straight to heaven. So we knew if we were killed in the snow, Dan and this child would basically go to heaven. I don't think Dan was 8, though. He was a little older. So he's still looking at hell, if you ask me. Anyway, we go to church. And as usual, we were almost bored to death. We almost had our insurance policy kicked in, died of boredom. But anyway, we made it back to the house, and I went in the driveway of the house, and we had this guest house out back of our regular house. And I looked at the guest house, and it had this great big 4x8 sheet of plywood on the front of the house. It wasn't there when I went to church. Now, it either grew there while I was gone, or some mysterious Mr. Nobody, who has always lived in our house, put it there. I said to myself, what the hell is that board doing on the guest house? So I go in, and because I'm trained in residential treatment, not too much surprises me. Kids chase me with knives. Kids jump off of buildings and roofs. They poison themselves. None of that stuff phases me. I just said, give me that. Stop that shit. So I go in the house, and I said to Dan, what the hell is that board on the guest house? Well, my kids, I love Dan. He's one of the best kids I had. This is the only thing that Dan ever did that I caught him at. I know there's other things, but this one I caught him. The board was very obvious. It was a white guest house, and it had a regular 2x-colored board on the front of it. It's not like you could miss it. It didn't look like a shutter. So I said, Dan, you know, what the hell? What's with the board? And he said, well, there's some news, Dad. And I've always taught my kids, there's some good news and there's some bad news. The bastards. So he starts this shit with me, and I'm still looking out there at the board. I said, I don't want crap. What happened? So he said, well, the baby did not get hurt. I go, oh shit. Was the baby out in the yard? Not exactly. Now see, Dan's biggest crime. Dan tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, except not all of the truth. He never lies, but he doesn't tell the whole truth until you know, get him, and then he tells the truth. So I got him, and I said, what was the baby doing outside? And he said, well, she was in the back of the car. I said, well, you don't have a driver's license. Why did you put the baby in the back of the car? He says, well, I was doing donuts in the driveway in the gravel. And I said, and my baby was in the back seat while you're doing donuts in the other car? And I said, that's not the worst of the story, is it? And he goes, I said, let's go look what's behind that board. So we go out and we pull that damn board off of the guest house. Holy shit! Our car had driven through there, and it looked about the size of my car that he was driving. God dang. The water heater to the bathroom was laid over on its side, pumping water in the living room. The toilet was tipped over, and the cupboards had come down in the kitchen. You know, it kind of looked like Katrina that went through there, but it was my car. Now, we rented this whole place, the house out front and the back. Well, now, I had to call the landlord, and he said yes, and I said, well, there's some good news and there's some bad news. He didn't want to hear that from me either. So I had to pay for putting the water heater back up and boarding up the house and painting it and whatever. So anyway, Dan is, I don't know, he's 34 or something. He's still grounded till he's 53 for that stunt. But anyway, he had a funny thing a couple of months ago or a year ago, whenever. He bought a brand new wood table, beautiful wood table. And I don't know which child it was, but one of the kids was teething on his new table. And Dan came out and found the kid teething on the new table. And after he slapped the kid silly, I told him, you know, those were his baby teeth that fell out. He'll get permanent teeth. He deserved to get the shit slapped out of him. Nah, he didn't do that. Dan is a very gentle father. He said to me, Dad, he said, am I ever going to have anything nice? Well, as long as you have kids, no, you're not going to have anything nice. So anyway, Dan is one of my best kids. This was one of the few stunts that he pulled while in my care and custody. He's pulled several since, but he seems to know what's going on. He's got beautiful grandchildren and a beautiful wife, but don't let him babysit, because your baby's going to be in the back seat going round and round and is going to come out dizzy. And thank God, you know, when he hit the building, nothing came in and hurt the baby. Thanks.